This was the first election in Israel's history which, believe it or not, had nothing to do with national security policy. It was all about domestic policy. First time in the country's history. I would say that there's a good reason for that and a bad reason for that. The good reason is that Israel has become relatively secure and can now start focusing on things that people in most countries want to look at, which is mostly wallet issues. The bad reason was that people in Israel, and on the Palestinian side as well, maybe in the Middle East as a whole, have frankly despaired of the chances for peace anyway. So why waste our time talking about that? Let's focus about something that maybe we can do something about. And the big winner in this election was Yair Lapid. We've all read about it in the paper. And he ran on a platform which was almost entirely domestically focused. And the elections as a whole had to do, first and foremost, with what is in Israel something of a wedge issue, the issue of the role of the ultra-Orthodox community, military service, they're exempt to date, transfer payments to the ultra-Orthodox population, and then a variety of other economic issues, the cost of living, the cost of housing, electoral reform, which for the first time in a long time is now on the agenda. And the big loser in this election, of course, was Netanyahu, the Likud, and the right wing. The Likud went down from 42 to 31 seats, and the right as a whole lost 4 seats, so it's a 4-seat pickup, a 4-seat gain for the left, or the center and the left, actually mostly went to the left. And the question is, and this is a question, I don't know the answer, whether we've now seen a bottoming out and the beginning of a revival of the Israeli left, which was totally decimated by the failure of Camp David in 2000 and the Intifada afterwards. The second big winner was Bennett, the head of a hard-right religious party, not ultra-Orthodox, but a hard-right religious party. Interestingly, he may join Lapid in trying to get through a similar domestic agenda. And, excuse me, Netanyahu is in a position today where on the one hand, if you just look at the numbers, he can form almost any coalition he wants, a right-wing coalition, a centrist or centrist-left coalition, with or without the religious parties. On the other hand, it's going to be very, very hard to form any one of these coalitions. It's going to be really difficult to do so. To assess how this will affect foreign policy, of course, is hard to do until we know who's in the coalition. But let me try and make a few quick assumptions, or predictions more correctly. First of all, I think it's fair to say Lapid will probably be in any coalition. It will probably be a more centrist one. Whatever it is, it will be a more centrist one. This probably bodes well for U.S.-Israeli relations. Hopefully, the friction of recent months will decrease. I think Netanyahu knows that it's not tenable in any event, and hopefully his new coalition partners will make that easier. And I think Obama also knows that it's not tenable, and that's why we're seeing that he's going to be visiting Israel sometimes next month, literally days after, hopefully, the coalition is formed. But at the same time, the primary issues are the same primary issues, and they will still be there. There will be the peace process / Palestinian issue. There will be the Iranian issue. There's the Syrian issue today. And on these issues, some of the differences, many of them will certainly remain, or at least the questions will remain. So let me start with the peace process. Had we gotten together 2 weeks ago before the elections, I would have said, if I had been asked to advise the American administration what to do, and I say this as someone who desperately would like to see a breakthrough for peace, don't even try now. Well, if you want to do a little low-level exploration, fine, but don't give it a serious effort. And the big question that is going to be debated in the administration, is probably being debated already these days, is do we actually really want to make a major push? Do we possibly even want to put an American peace plan on the table? And that's pretty much the ultimate American step. And my position 2 weeks ago, and largely at the moment, would be don't do it because it's going to fail. There is no way it's going to work. What Clinton couldn't do in 2000 with the Barack proposals, dramatic peace proposals, what Bush couldn't do in 2008 with Olmert's equally dramatic proposals, aren't going to happen today. You don't have a partner on either side. I would say go slow, cautiously. See if there is an opening on the Israeli side. See if you can get the sides talking at just some low level. Set some limited objectives to go on for that. In the meantime, there are so many other issues related to the peace process and other non-peace process issues on the agenda at the moment. Focus where you can do something. Prevent a breakdown of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. prevent the collapse of the Palestinian Authority, prevent renewed warfare or violence on the West Bank, prevent the collapse, I'll come back to this, of the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. There are so many other things that can be done at the moment that are more immediate.